Here we are in an oak woodland. I found this place yesterday quite early and I decided to camp here. I built a fire for the first time on this journey. I looked around to see if there was any wild animals, but typically oak woodlands tend to dominate, and there's not many other species here. But the beautiful sound of birds, the distant run of the traffic over there, and really not a soul in sight that I can actually see in person. I was inspired, strangely. I had some very vivid dreams. They were sexual dreams, and I had 2 natural emissions this morning. Generally when that happens I'm very weak, and I thought about considering staying here another day to recuperate some of my energy. I've run out of water. The next town is only 10 kilometers away. I'm on the road towards Marrakesh. I'm quite high up in the landscape. So the first thing I've done this morning, rather than sort of get away, knowing that my energy levels were weak, I had a burst of creativity and I built this pen. As you can see, it's probably not useful for animals, but it could be adapted for animals. But I was considering building a home. What would it be like? Could I live out here in this semi-wilderness, hunting, for instance? Yet I have no tools, I have no weapons. Could I live here hunting? I haven't seen a single animal walk by. Still, it's a beautiful landscape, and there's lots of evidence for fires here, so people do come here and camp. My hammock was exactly where your camera is now, and I was very, very comfortable with the heat of the fire blowing towards the hammock. Of course, the smoke I could just occlude by pulling over the bivy bag which the hammock sits in. So effectively I'm like a cocoon. So I wrote, obviously, yesterday. I was obviously coming up to a point in my spiritual climax, my spiritual culmination, where I get closer and closer to creation, to God, to evolution, to magic. It's a magical consciousness. And I'd like to come back here maybe one day and see that it's still here. Maybe the goat herders will look after it, use it, and build a bit more to it. Come here with some friends. So let me read you the poem, and then I'm going to play the song, which I was going to put to some other words, but it's too difficult to do. It didn't match, in other words. And instead I wrote something about nature, whereas the last song was about Islam. So this one I called What the Birds Have to Say. I hear your crackling voice, a hoverfly hums your remorse, geckos crawl over your feet as you ponder over the drying, rising heat. Even us birds hush for a moment when the leaves flutter in the wind's perusing solvent, signalling yonder where once trees grew, but now only sadly scorched grasses on which sheep chew. The whistle and whoops of that frightened mass, ready to scatter at the herder's thrash. The timely toss of a stick come stone to keep them in check and move them to moan. Us birds, however, talk to everyone and no one, so sweetly in the hazy, softening afternoon. The sun hovers above our heads, and the trees perch us higher to lay our beds. We dream of walking the forest floor, even swimming the distant ebbing shores. Oh, how to fly is not a point we consider, but it interests us to be a human creature. Occasionally a forage amongst the fallen leaves will suffice, and fulfill our earnest desires to avarice. Naked on the rocks that anchor the soul's appeal, picking up the grubs and worms to make for our zeal. Such an abundance, but wait, here comes the flock, whiling the hours away to the sound of their chock. Their droppings sometimes provide a tasty morsel. If not for us birds, and the beetles will clean up after their parcels. And the invisible sound of the insect world turning over all that goodness to which they herald, bringing great times of rejoicing in nature's ever-recurrent laughing and gorging. Like the air we breathe, the trees are our lungs, absorbing great gasps of the atmosphere's tongues, keeping things cool so that we can mingle in quantity the numbers that threaten to dwindle. We are safe here. Let's hang about a bit longer. Surely no axe or saw will cleave us to yonder. They can't be that stupid, can they, towards our oaken havens, and remove us along with all our patrons? But wait, what is that I see over the horizon? The arenal seas have come to join us in their rising. Look how they blow up a storm for their announcement, singing that raucous sound in their carousing. Oh, how to dance like those humans in churning concrete trees out of those sands. Soon they will come and join with us, so that we may perch ever higher into the stardust. It's obviously satire. The innocence of birds. The innocence of humans. unfinished end on a dominant 7, because I can just keep going with that. And I wonder if I could put those words to it. I think I like these words better because it's like happy and sad at the same time. It's positive and negative at the same time, maybe. It's very truthful and satirical at the same time. Actually, that last journey I've done to Palestine, I still have a few of those poems which don't have any music to. Leaving it a bit late, but I think I've done justice to this. Time to go.